I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. Devastating though these machines may be, they are the least powerful of their kind. Stronger and more savage are the Power Zoids. Giant machines whose very passing can topple mountains. Even now, a Power Zoid approaches.
To fry. Second in the blue army to mighty Zoidzilla. Or is the second strongest dreaded Zoid killer. Defending blue Zoid lands with red glowing eyes. The Lord Protector lights for red Zoid cries. structure and mutant killer. Against Gordox and Rakdox he will fight, for robot world glory with his iron might. The Doctor Rocks and Brutax lead the charge. Blue Guardians fight as one small and large. Gorilla, Tyrannosaurus, Tyrannosaur, the Doctor Rocks and Brutax sound the roar. The Doctor Rocks and Brutax lead the charge. Blue Guardians fight as one small and large. Gorilla, Tyrannosaurus, Tyrannosaur, the Doctor Rocks and Brutax sound the roar. Blue Guardian Robo-Strucks hear the core. Sleuth, Thirst, and Ryan wanna give their all. Sector, Butler, and Ripper tries to fight.
Double a Zoid opposite me, boss. Iron Kong stands 17 meters plus. Armor thick and glowing red neon eyes. Iron Kong takes the field to hell it cries. Iron Kong brings the fight. Iron Kong clash hard with Z-Nebas might. Swords of King Kong and Godzilla summers. Now Iron Kong goes to fight Godzilla. Iron Kong, Mark II, angelic foes now. Pride of the Empire will be cracked out. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Dilos, that is the trick. But Iron Kong can yet be made better. Custom built, powerful to the letter. Bow and salute the new Gorilla Zoid. Iron Kong swarms custom for war employed. Iron Kong Mark II is fast, able to avoid helic cannon blast. Iron Kong Mark II fights Godzilla foes, even Godzilla Mark II feels the woes. Iron Kong Mark II, angelic foes now. Pride of the Empire on the Krakow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Dinos, that is the trick. Iron Kong Mark II missiles blast and glare. Dark gray and yellow steel, Iron Kong beware. Laser eyes of red and fists of iron might. Iron Kong Mark II beams like the night. Iron Kong Mark II, angelic foes now. Pride of the Empire will be Krakow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Dinos, that is the trick. Iron Kong Mark II, angelic foes now. Pride of the Empire will be Krakow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Dinos, that is the trick. Laser eyes of red and fists of iron might. Iron Kong Mark II beams like the night. But Iron Kong Mark II missiles blast and glare. Dark gray and yellow steel, Iron Kong beware. Laser eyes of red and fists of iron might. Iron Kong Mark II beams like the night. Lots of wreck, but Iron Kong.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.